हेलो व्यूअर्स समस्ते भलरे थिबे आशा करूची आमे माने आज हमरो डिस्कशन करिबा गोटे इंग्लिश मीडियम पिला मानक पय आज डिस्कशन करा जिवो ओडिया मीडियम पिला मानक पय आज डिस्कशन करिबिनी कारण दीटा कंटीन्यूअस वीडियो मो ऑलरेडी डिस्कशन करि सरची ओके सो today we will discuss the second lecture of our unit 2 that is on population ecology and particularly on human population growth. Okay, so this is Dr. Sudhamoy Behura and I welcome you all to this second lecture of unit 2 of Aecc 1 fundamentals of environment studies and disaster management. Okay, so let us see in which we will learn about the human population and what do we mean by population ecology, then what is the demography, all the concepts. Okay, so we all know that population ecology is nothing but the study of populations in relation to the environment. Okay, so population ecology means it is dealing with your relationship of the people with our environment. It includes environmental influences on population density and distribution, age structure, variations in population size, all these factors. And a population is nothing but a group of individual of the same species living in the same general area. So in our first lecture of unit 2 we have already discussed the ecological hierarchy, isn't it? So in which we have already learned about the population, then means individual species, population, community, ecology, ecosystem, biomes, biosphere, everything we have discussed. Okay, so in which we have discussed that the population is nothing but a group of individual of the same species. So what is demography then? So demography is the study of the vital statistics of a population and how they change over time. So you know that population is not a static condition, or population always varies, isn't it? That's why the population or the census or the count of population is done in every 10 years or in every interval of times in our country, isn't it? And that is known as census. So demography is the study of the vital statistics of a population, and it is calculated by the death rates and birth rates. What are these death rates and birth rates? That we will discuss, that they are the particular interest of demographers. So the demographers, that means who study the demography or statistical survey of population, they particularly keeps interest in your death rates and birth rates of a particular place in a particular time period. Then the statistics say that 61% of the global population lives in Asia. Okay, so you know that we have many continents, and Asia is one of the one out of them. So 61% of the global population lives in Asia and 17% in Africa, 10% in Europe, 8% in Latin America, and the remaining 5% in North America. Okay, so China and India, if we will consider these two countries, then China has the 1.44 billion population and India has the 1.39 billion population, and these two remain the two most populous countries of the world, isn't it? And both with more than 1 billion people. These two countries only, they represent 19 and 18% of the world's population respectively. Okay, means your China has the 19% of the entire world population and India has the 18% of the world's total population. So means you know that China is number one country in term of population and India is the second. So it is also estimated that why population growth is nowadays is a big concern. All are discussing about this population growth and its impact on the society, on the developmental sectors, on economy. So it is estimated that around 2027, okay, means now we are in 2022. Recently we are going to enter to 2023 after few 1 month, isn't it? So it is estimated that around 2027, India is projected to overtake China as the world's most populous country. Means now we are in second position. So within 5 to 6 years maximum, we will enter to the first position. While China's population is projected to decrease by 31.4 million or around 2.2% between 2019 and 2050. Okay, this is collected from the source World Population Prospects 2009. So according to this report, it is anticipated that India will overcome China within few years in respect to the population count. So the world population is projected to reach 8.5 billion in 2030. Okay. So world population is exploding, we can say, and to increase further to 9.7 billion in 2050 and 11.2 billion by 2100. So you can see how our population is increasing in a tremendous way. So this is the big concern nowadays. As with any type of projection, there is a degree of uncertainty surrounding these latest population projections. And these figures are based on the medium projection variant, which assumes a decline of fertility for countries where large families are still prevalent. Okay. And survival prospects are also projected to improve in all countries. So now see, this is the table in front of you which shows the largest countries, okay, in term of population, and it is here shown a comparison of population count in the year 2005 and what will be the population count after 45 years, means in 2050. Okay, so the main highlighted point is by 2050 India will probably be the world's most populous country. Okay, so here you see in the 2005 China was in the top, having 1304 millions populations. After that India having 1104 millions population, but you can see in the right side, that is in by the year 2050 India will overcome China and will take the first position with having 1628 millions of populations. Okay, so this is the data collected from the source data from Population Preference Bureau or Population Reference Bureau. This says this data. Then the population growth curve. So this what I told you that demography is the statistical representation of the population growth. So the population growth when shows in statistical term, it gives you the curves that is known as population growth curve. Okay, so it represents the growth of the population over a span of time. Means how this growth curve shows you the growth of population over a span of time. This is an exponential growth curve. Okay, and growth curves can be linear, it can be exponential, it can be cubic. Okay, and depending on the fragments of the population given. Human population growth curve does not show a steady response or curve as the population growth may increase or decrease over a time. Okay, it can never be constant because in some years your population will increase drastically. In some years your population growth will be little bit slower. In some years it will be slower. Hence, there will be no uniformity maintained throughout the time span. So, due to increase or decrease in the population, the human population growth curve is the sigmoidal curve. It is known as S curve or that is known as sigmoidal curve. Okay, in this curve, the density of population increases very slowly at the initial stage. So, what is the characteristic feature of sigmoid growth curve or we can call it as S curve, or the example is your human population growth. Okay. So, it has total 3 phases. So, in the first phase, there is very slow growth at the initial stage in a positive acceleration over a particular time. Okay, this is the first phase, positive acceleration phase, in which with increase in time the population increase very slowly. Then the suddenly increase. Okay, in the second phase, suddenly increases rapidly when approaching exponential as a J curve, and after some time it decreases in the negative acceleration until it comes to 0. This is the condition where the population growth rate stabilizes, no further increase. Okay, and the S-shaped curve is a logistic curve because when competition increases, then resources become scarce. For example, if the number of people will increase, so they will contest for a limited amount of resource available in a particular place, isn't it? Hence, the resource become scarce and carrying capacity is reached in an environment that causes growth rate to decrease to 0. Okay, are you getting my point or not? So, I think you all can understand these points. So, these are all taught according to your syllabus. Okay, according to your Aecc 1 environment study and disaster management syllabus, and I am going in detail one after another. So, already I have finished the unit 1 through 12 to 13 lectures, and now we are in unit 2 and we have already covered one lectures. This is the second lecture. Okay, so you can go and watch each discussions in the previous videos through the playlist. Okay, so the playlist for English medium students and for Odia medium students are separately made, so you can go there and you can learn each bit of your syllabus in each video. Okay, so you can also prepare your good notes from these videos also. Okay, so now let us see the next what is there next. So there are various factors on which growth rate of population depends, which includes weather, food, then your competition. Okay, so how the population will grow, that depends upon the local climate, local food availability. Okay, and how the species they are competing with each other. Okay, so S-shaped curve represents a logistic growth which is limited by the definite carrying capacity. So in exponential growth, a population's per capita means per individual growth rate stays the same regardless of population size. Okay, making the population grow faster and faster as it gets larger. And in nature, populations may grow exponentially for some period, but they will ultimately be limited by resource availability. In logistic growth, so you have two types of growth. One is exponential growth, another is your logistic growth. Okay, a population's per capita growth rate gets smaller and smaller as population size approaches a maximum imposed by limited resources in the environment, known as the carrying capacity. So every your ecosystem, everything has some carrying capacity, means beyond that no one can exist. And exponential growth produces a J-shaped curve, while logistic growth produces an S-shaped curve. So here one important question is there. So exponential growth shows which type of growth curve, and logistic growth shows which type of or which shaped growth curve. And example of each type of growth curve. So here you see that what is J-shaped growth curve, or that we are calling it as your exponential growth curve, and in the left side your S curve, that is logistic growth curve. So there are two types of selection for species. One is your K selection, another is R selection. So what is K selection, what is R selection? So as it is a compulsory subject, you need not be worried about in detail, but you at least should learn some fundamentals, that what is K and what is R type of selection. So K selection means density dependent selection. Okay, means it is selects for life history traits that are sensitive to population density. Means K selection relates your population density, whereas R selection is your density independent. Means it selects for life history traits that maximize reproduction. It does not depends upon your population density. Okay, so now let us give a look on your exponential growth curve and logistic growth curve. So I told you that exponential growth curve means J-shape growth curve, and what characteristics it bears. Here you see in the x-axis time is taken, and in y-axis population size. Okay, so this is the exponential growth curve, means J, it looks like a J, and what it represents, it grows at a fast increasing rate with no limiting factors, and means there is no third phase. Here only two phases is there. Initially the species they grow faster, okay, and because there is no limiting factors that occurs in your logistic growth curves, or in case of S-shaped growth curves. So in logistic growth curve you see the shape is look like just like a similar to your S. And S curve labels of due to limiting factors. Why here it is look like this? Because here are three phases and some limiting factors are there, and ultimately it reaches with your carrying capacity. Okay, so this is about your growth curves of population, in which exponential growth curve and logistic growth curve. So exponential growth curves that we understand, or we underwent a demographic transition, and throughout history we have had high birth rate and high death rate. So population remained stable. So in exponential growth curve, that happened in case of your small creatures, or you can say your different types of small your what pathogens like structures or animals. they have high birth rate and so also high death rates. So as their birth rate and death rate is high, hence a equality is maintained or their population remained stable. Okay, with advances in medicine, your nutrition and sanitation, we now have low death rates in case of human being. Okay, so the world population is increasing rapidly because death rate is your slow and birth rate is high. That's why population is increasing rapidly. Okay, so now let us move to the last part, that is your what is your this exponential growth and logistic growth through your some calculations or some formulas. Okay, so here your dn by dt is equal to rn. This is the formula to calculate, because I told you that demography is the statistical representation of population. So statistics means there will be some mathematical formulas, isn't it? So dn by dt is equal to rn. So one is your exponential growth, another is your logistic growth. So in case of exponential growth, per capita growth rate r does not change even if your population gets very large. Okay, so here your dn by dt is equal to change in population, and r is your growth rate and n is your total number of population. Okay, so it will not change a lot. So here you see this happens, or this equation is valid for your exponential growth, or we can say J-shaped growth for insects. And here in case of logistic growth, in the right side you see that per capita growth rate, that is R, gets smaller as population approaches its maximum size. Okay, so dn by dt, here R max or maximum your growth rate will be when k minus n by k into n. Okay, so here in case of your r, it is represented by k minus n by k. Means what? Here in the diagram you see in the right side that S-shaped curve. Here k means your carrying capacity. Okay, k. So k minus n means your population size divided by carrying capacity. Okay, that give you the result of a logistic growth. Okay, so now I think you have cleared about this population growth. Okay, and the statistical data of population growth of our country, that of with other countries. Okay, and the pattern of population growth, different types of growth curves like J-shaped growth curve, S-shaped growth curves. Okay, so now you start to prepare your notes from this lecture. Okay, it will help you to attend all the questions that will come in your final university examinations. Okay, so bye bye viewers, and thank you for watching this video. And if you really like this video, then please press the like button, do subscribe, and share my channel. Okay, thank you, and we will meet in our next video within few days with our third lecture of unit 2. And you try to continuously watch this channel, so that you will get every aspects, every detail syllabus structure of your Aecc one environment study and disaster management. These are best for B.Sc, BCom and BA first semester students. Okay, so thank you, bye bye, take care. But please don't forget to like, yeah, like and subscribe please.